As we approach the All-Star break, we happen to have a new best player in baseball. It's been Mike Trout. It could be Fernando Tatis at some point, but not right now. Let's do a little digging in. And we start at the top. Aaron Judge has gotten a lot of play as the best position player in the game. And Judge, no question, he's among the top handful. He could still be the MVP, a long way to go. Manny Machado is having a career year in the National League, which is saying something. And the reigning best player in baseball, I'm sorry, it's still Mike Trout, he's also having a sensational season despite one big slump and then one bad weekend, which was this past weekend. But if you're counting 2022, just this year, the best player in the game is Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals. Goldschmidt is 34, 7 years removed from his old MVP peak. He was never the MVP, but he was top three different years, showing his overall high level of production. This year, to this point, obviously, he is the MVP of both leagues. #1 at bat for at bat and in volume and a plus base runner. If you watch Goldschmidt play, you come away even more impressed as he excels in situational hitting and showing overall winning awareness. But the stats are clear. He leads the National League in the triple slash line, batting average, slash on base, slash slugging. And his park-adjusted OPS trails only Yordan Alvarez across the majors. He leads all of baseball, both leagues, in total bases, runs created, run expectancy, and wins above replacement. The old top contender is better than ever. So Judge, Rafael Devers, Yordan Alvarez, also among the very best so far in the first half. But if you could have had any first half from any player in the game, you'd pick Paul Goldschmidt. To pitching now. We've seen some work from some great veterans so far this year. Justin Verlander has been sensational. Great comeback from Tommy John surgery at the age of 39. He has a 2.03 ERA and just went through a dominant New York City tour, beating the Yankees and Mets on the road back-to-back, giving up 1 run over 15 innings. He still might be the man, but the best pitcher of the first half so far, Sandy Alcantara of the Marlins. He has a league-leading 115 innings of work with a 1.95 ERA. That gives him the major league lead in RA9 WAR. RA9 WAR, runs allowed per 9 WAR. That factors in the runs allowed and the innings pitched. It's kind of simple. Distinguishes Alcantara is his durability. Realize that the average major league start this year is just over 5 innings. Alcantara has pitched at least 7 innings in 11 of his 16 starts this year. The next most, Aaron Nola with 9. Major difference, big boost in value. But any talk of baseball's best player must include the one guy being a top player and a top pitcher. It must be pointed out, what Shohei Ohtani has been doing over the last month is absolutely unprecedented, even after what he did last season, which was, of course, just unprecedented. Right now, for the first half, Shohei Ohtani is slugging .503 and has a 2.68 ERA. That's playing full-time as a position player and taking a regular spot in the Angels' rotation. Now, he's had 3 bad blow-up starts as a pitcher. Those all count. But when he's pitching at his peak, he might be the best pitcher in baseball. He's 3rd in baseball in strikeout percentage, and when he's right, he's almost untouchable. But take a look at the last few weeks. This is what Shohei Ohtani has done since his start on June 9th. I know it's only 21 games, but he's hit .320 with a .405 on base, slugging just a bit under 700. That's while he's had 4 starts, giving up 1 run. 4 starts, 26 2/3, 36 strikeouts, 6 walks, a 0.38 ERA. So for nearly a month, he's slugged nearly 700 and has a sub-1 ERA. So that's never been done. I'm saying Paul Goldschmidt right now is the baseball MVP, but Ohtani is hitting peaks never hit in the history of baseball. We bring in the panel. Joel Sherman, Ruben Amaro Jr., good to have you guys here. All right, thoughts on best player in baseball. And what I saw, Joel, just right now, it looks to me it's Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah. Can I talk about Ohtani and Trout? Since you...
oh, you want to go right from the dog there. I knew you want to go in value, and sure, because Trout is still in this equation, by the way. Yeah.
They're done. I don't want to hear about either guy's MVP case. I'm with Dog. Like, what happens when we talk about wins above replacement and ratio stuff, that's why Alcantara is my guy. Like, you throw that number of innings. He's got 3 complete games. He's got, I think, 8 games of 8 innings. Like, he's helping you win so many days, not just the day he pitches, but he saves bullpen, etc. He's happens
so
to be on a bad
stretch they had against the Yankees.
The bad stretch. Why are we talking about the Yankees? They lost, what, 14 straight games or 16? What was it? 14 straight games?
It's not an individual sport, though, Joel.
But they were terrible during that. Those pitching numbers for Ohtani come after that losing streak. In other words, our season's over. here I am. Like, I'm ready to be good. And Trout's been terrible against the Yankees and the Astros this year. It's not just 3 games. It's 13 games against the 2 best teams where you need your best player to play well. He's got 1 homer and 1 RBI in those 13 games. He's got 3 hits in those 13 games. Like, the idea is actually to win, not to look good in some algorithm which nobody knows how it works.
Wait, hold on. What if by the end of the year, I hear you.
By the end of the year, they're both going to have fantastic numbers in a complete vacuum.
What if Mike Trout is the best hitter, hands down, in all of baseball?
If we're going to play hypothetical.
No, but that's very
Let's play a
possible.
hypothetical.
It's
Say somebody
possible.
hits 65 homers and all 65 come with their team up 6 runs or down 6 runs. Is that guy the most valuable player?
Theoretically, I guess he would not be, but that does not happen.
But this did happen. Mike Trout, look, I hate to be talking bad about Mike. Ohtani's the most spectacular player I've ever seen, what he's doing. Trout might be the best player I've ever seen. But within value, if we're going to talk about value, like that team desperately needed him to be great.
Ruben, I have one more question for him.
Yeah, no problem.
Ruben is sitting here too.
I'll be very patient.
So you're saying no matter what Trout does the rest of the way,
unless the award gets called best player,
he cannot get the MVP in your
no shot.
Even if he ends up slugging 750
and the Angels get back in it because of him.
No, the Angels stay where they are.
No.
Okay, where are you?
There's a difference between most valuable player and best player. There's no question in my mind about it. But if I was going to start with one player in my team as a GM, it would be Shohei Ohtani. It's not even a question about it. The man is the top, probably arguably the top 20 players in all of baseball offensively, and one of the top 20 pitchers, starting pitchers in all of baseball, and maybe even higher. When you start talking about percentages of the quality of a player, and we're talking about this is the major leagues, and when you're this good on this many levels as a hitter, offensively, power, speed, defense, I mean, he could be a Gold Glove outfielder if he wanted to be.
Right.
This is the player you want to start with. There's nobody's done anything like this guy, and I love everything about him.
But he pitched well. He did not pitch well against the Yankees, and Joel's saying, nope, can't do it.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, again, is he a great player? Yes. Is he a spectacular player? Probably the most spectacular in the history of the sport. But if you're asking, like, I'm not really sure your essay, are you saying who was the most spectacular player of the first half, who was the best player of the first half, or who was the most valuable player of the first half? You cannot fall down like those 2 guys fell down during a 14-game losing streak when your team season went away and your manager lost his job.
By the way, I said it was Paul Goldschmidt. Was the best
Right.
player of the first half. I said Paul Goldschmidt. He plays for the Cardinals.
And by the way, I think that's right, because I think that his ability to hit in the clutch, to hit with 2 strikes when nobody hits with 2 strikes because the stuff is so good now. But it is amazing. The Cardinals have the 3 top players in Baseball Reference WAR and are in 2nd place in a bad division.
Right, because it's a 30 to 40 player
I get
team.
it.
And that's the sport that you're playing. So it's not even Trout's fault that if he's not going great.
But it was Trout's fault when they were losing. They needed him. Like timing does matter. Like I'll take one that's in New York. Scherzer and DeGrom are probably coming back at some point. Do you know how valuable Taijuan Walker has been to the Mets? Like, just going out there and making all of his starts above average has been spectacularly valuable. And, like, we are covering the season. We do see what happens. And your best players have to rise in moments of crisis.
To me, the MVP. By the way, I just want to point out, I don't think you're completely wrong. I think you're a little off on that, and you agree with the dog. So you'll be more at home with the dog.
I've always wanted to do the dog.
I love that you and
show.
Mad Dog are on the same page on that. But no, what you're saying is not without some merit. I understand that.
I will tell you, I do agree with you. This doesn't happen all the time, but it's been happening a lot more lately. MVP, as far as I'm concerned, Goldschmidt, and I'll tell you why. Because he does so many things so well. And listen, without him, St. Louis isn't anywhere. I mean, that's a good team. It's a solid team. They're a good team almost year in and year out because they have some completeness to their club. But I will tell you that Goldschmidt, over the time, I mean, again, this is kind of a heart decision for me. And really, for an MVP, you have to wait till the end of the season to find out who the real MVP is, because that's the player that affect that team the most to get them to be where they need to be, which is a winning team or a championship caliber club.
I prefer my best player to be on a team that makes the playoffs, wins its division. I don't require it, though. I try not to make it all that complicated. I try to go for best player.
What if he's horrible when the team season ends in May?
It's possible that that could be held against him. Yes, I hear your point.